Hey guys, Joe from J&M Concrete here. This week we are doing a 12-yard color concrete driveway. Stick around for the tear out, the prep, my favorite part, the pour. See you then, guys. Have a great day. Bye. So there were a little bit of hiccups on this project. One of the big ones was as soon as I turned off my machine here about halfway through this tear out, we were going to tear this out in two halves because we wanted to be careful around the drain, not rush it. The Bobcat didn't start again, but thankfully we were close to Bobcat and the team over at Bobcat of the Rockies immediately stepped up. They sent us another machine, a big one to finish off today's day, and then that evening they bought us another MT100. So we loaded this up by hand, dragged our little machine back out of the way, brought in a bigger T450. I'm not a big fan of the big machines. I can do the same on the little machines, but I accomplished today's task. They came in and picked up our busted one, and they came and picked up this a big one after we were finished, and they dropped off another MT100, which let us continue. A big reason I'm not a fan of these big ones is they are meant for destroying big things. This is a driveway, a residential driveway. You should be able to knock it out with a just regular Bobcat MT100 if you know what you're doing. So we took our time, loaded it up, eventually got everything out of the way. It was a tough first day, but it was behind us eventually. This is the MT100 that Bobcat of the Rockies dropped off. The breaker is mine, but I'm glad they were able to come through and take care of us. We managed to pick up the next day exactly where we left off, especially running an MT100, something that I'm familiar with. I was able to go in, take our time, break around this drain, leave it completely intact as we were working our way back. We wanted to reuse it. Little did we know that this thing was already really, really worn out. The driveway had previously been mud jacked and the concrete had been shifted around, so it had cracked this drain, and we didn't know that. So it was a big surprise when we finally got to the end and this thing just basically fell apart, even though we were being very, 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 very careful. You can see the tiny little pieces that we broke this into in order to wrap this up near the end. I mean, we still wanted to be careful. We don't want to damage the asphalt. I mean, this was a very complicated, delicate job. We wanted to make sure it came out good. Eventually, we realized here that the drain was really worn out, busted everywhere. So we still left it intact. We didn't want the customer to think we were the ones that broke it, even though we were going to put a new one in there. But after 2 days, we tore it out. The Bobcat's MT100 came through. After the concrete was tore out, we had a whole lot of other tasks to do. Even though there wasn't much framing, we had to cut the asphalt on the perimeter because we wanted a clean edge. And what we needed to do was cut the concrete up against the garage. And why is that? When they originally installed this, and this is an advice I give to all new concrete guys, when you put pins into these garages or anywhere, make sure they're seated all the way, make sure they're bottomed out so that when someone like me comes in and tears stuff out, the half-seated pin doesn't over vibrate and chip the edge up. But that's just a word of advice. Whenever you're putting pins into these garage floors like this, make sure you go until it turns into a tuning fork and vibrates like crazy, so you know that it's properly seated in the holes so that they don't break the edge off later. But it wasn't a big deal. We tore this out. And another good thing that happened good here, even though we had to do a new drain that we didn't plan for, apparently the people before us who installed this did bring in a bunch of road base, the good stuff. This isn't that recycled concrete stuff. So we loosened it up, make sure there wasn't no debris in here, and then we hit it with the jumping jack about 3 times. I think we passed through, so it was plenty well compacted before we decided to do our drain and bring in a few inches of road base, which was part of the plan. And here we are installing our drains. I am not a fan of these drains, but if we're going to do them, we're going to do them per the manufacturer's instructions. We make sure we had a few inches of very well compacted road base, that our slope was good, hooking up to that pipe over there on the far end. Once we had it perfectly flat, we laid them in place without any concrete. You can either use like a mortar mix or a concrete mix, have it set in that, or they like sell these little brackets that go in between each connection, and that'll hold the drain up while you're pouring. So we got a little bit of mortar mix and we poured it around the perimeter to hold it in place while we were pouring. And while we were installing it, we had my wife doing trips of road base, and we kind of worked our way back. Every time she would come and do a trip, we would flatten everything out, spread it out, and we would just slowly work on the drains, make sure they were all very tightly fit up against one another, to make sure if it's going to be in there, which I'm not a fan of, it's at least going to be done right and it's not going to go anywhere. But at the end of it, we're happy with the outcome. The customer was very happy. We're able to use, if you see on the far right, that black pipe sticking out, we were able to use the drainage system that was there. And the customer was very happy with that. And I was actually very happy that we didn't have an old drain in our concrete. So glass half full, we had to put in a new drain. These are not cheap at all. This what did we have here? About 20 something feet of drain was about $1,500. So we definitely wanted to make sure it was all done correctly so that we don't have to worry about this. And here we are watering it, compacting the heck out of it, make sure it doesn't go anywhere. So far so good. Bobcat broke down. We need a new drain where we didn't expect it, but we kept chugging along forward and knocking it out. One thing that I did notice at the end of this drain here, the pipe where it connects was about, I would say, 1.75 inches from the top of where the concrete would be. So I needed to come up with something on how to make sure that pipe wasn't driven over by a car. So we added another connection. I added another piece, which was kind of a pain in the butt since all this was already in place. And that pushed the area where the pipe was further off to the side where no one should ever drive into it unless they hit the corner of the house, and that gave us more area for a drain, which is much better supported by the concrete next to it versus that little pipe that was there. But either way, where the pipe was, I ended up running a lot of extra rebar just in case a car ever accidentally drove through there or ever wanted to. It's very well supported, so that isn't an issue down the road. But yeah, lesson learned, but at least it worked out. Hey guys, Joe from J&M Concrete here. We are good to pour. Took a week getting it ready. Our drain is in. We thought we were going to be able to reuse the last one. Turned out the other one was rotted out. So we got a new one in here. It's actually longer now. We want to make sure that the part where the pipe sticks out over here closer to the surface, we got plenty of bar. We had our expansion up against the garage. We don't always do that, but since I have the drain here and when this moves, I don't want it to mess with the drain. But pour is set for next week Monday. Today's Friday. Stick around for that. Don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe. See you then, guys. Bye-bye. Honestly, the easiest part of this whole project was probably the pour. We just needed to put up a whole bunch of plastic. I cannot emphasize enough, guys. There's probably like $30 worth of plastic here, protecting tens of thousands of dollars of paints and finishes and stains and stuff like that. So we made sure there was plastic everywhere. I watered more, even though you can't really tell where the guys are standing at now, this thinner piece, because it was going to get hit by the sun first. So we made sure to water that quite a bit, kept it dry up against the house so that it would all cure evenly. Little details that actually matter. The forecast had absolutely no rain till about 3-4 in the afternoon. As soon as we were done pouring, about 45 minutes later, we had a light drizzle, which did kind of mark up the surface a wee bit, but that's only if you got really close to it. And then it stopped. And then we covered it, and then it rained consistently till about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and then we uncovered it. Either way, the surface of the concrete wasn't damaged. Drain looked good. Pour went well. I think the color that the customer picked was pretty neat. It really flows good with their house, and I'm just hoping that they're happy with it, because this one was a little bit more difficult than what we thought, but it came out good.
Hey guys, Joe from J&M Concrete here. Pour came out amazing. We ordered it from the plant at a 6 slump. By the time it got here, it was about a 5, where we want to pour for a driveway. The color the customer picked was called Trail Dust. It's going to lighten up a lot lighter than this, but I think it's going to really look good with the brown of the house, that kind of theme that we're going for. I am not a big fan of these drains. Never liked them, don't like them. I really don't like them. I just don't. I would rather have a swell, but it's in there. We installed it per the manufacturer's instructions. We're gonna put our covers on there. Next week we are doing a smaller stamped patio really close to our house. Stick around for that. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe. See you then, guys. Let's take a look. All right, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.